those three things. I pooled my assets and I found out what I had. And then I also did something which was very important. I pooled my liabilities. What are my liabilities? Well, I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. So what did I have to do? I had to go find someone to partner with who my assets complemented their liabilities and their assets complemented my liabilities. So
All right, welcome everybody. Today we have, not only am I joined by Chris Mayfield, my co-host for this interview, but we have a great guest. Brad Hovis is here to share his story and how he got into real estate and just all of the different types of deals he has been involved in. And so I'm really grateful for him being here. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Brad. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chad, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to just dive right in because I know Brad's got a wealth of information to get unloaded here. And I know people would be blessed by that because he does have a ton of experience, a little bit of background. I reached out to Brad. I was in another career in ministry, and we had a connection there and saw that he was heavy into real estate, and I didn't really have a clue about real estate, and reached out to him. Man, he threw me on a couple of things to read, got me peaked, flew down here, threw me on the phones like within seconds of walking in to his hotel room, and which I think is the best way because too many people are just sitting there thinking about what should I do, how should I do, just threw me to the fire. We did some stuff together, and then maybe a year and a half after that, I actually worked for him and going after properties. So again, got more knowledge, understanding everything. And I just continue to watch him from a distance and what he's doing. And because of his background, of course, it's always kept me interested. So give us just a quick intro first, Brad, of who you are and what you do.
Well, I was wondering if you would mention that, going down to Phoenix and throwing you on we went down to Phoenix, we ran some marketing, we got some leads, took my script, ran it through with you for 20 minutes, maybe the tops,
maybe,
and then said, all right, have at it.
It was actually the first deal I remember I'm not joking, I think it's 5-10 minutes. I was on the phone, your cell phone, and you're very comfortable, right? I'm making my first call and you just stick it on mute and you're you're literally standing over me in the hotel room, just kind of whispering some things in my ear. Here's what he's talking about. Here's what he's trying to do. And that ended up being a good lead from you that you saved for later, but it was just put it on mute, just listen. Here's what we're looking for. And that'll find out whether or not we need to pursue this conversation with this gentleman. And that was it, man. And then we were there for about 45 minutes, and then we jumped in a car and got a couple of realtors to show us around, and they had no clue what wholesaling was. And, but we just wanted to look at a few properties, and it was just instant.
The fun part of that trip was going up to, I think it's called Surprise.
Yeah.
Is that where all the old people ride around in golf carts?
It is one of the spots. It's a little bit further. It's also where the Rangers and the Royals are.
Oh, okay. All right. I just thought it was neat. We're driving down the road and we're seeing all these retired snowbirds driving around on the golf carts.
Yeah, there's more golf cart accidents over there than there are vehicles.
I love it. What'd you guys? How I got started?
No, give us a quick 30-second bio of who you are and what you're doing right now in real estate.
Right now, I'm doing a lot of things. I own a hotel in the mountains of Colorado. I have a large portfolio across the country, primarily in Memphis, Tennessee. I own a part of Freedom Soft. I work with Rob Swanson, and I've owned that for several years now. I'm a silent guy on that. Rob's an absolute stud. He just he's though he's got the face of a catcher's mitt. He's the face of Freedom Soft. So we let him do that. And I coach and teach and speak and just have a good time. Right now, I'm trying to keep my boys playing sports in the middle of a pandemic. We're in Colorado, and it's like frickin' Fort Knox here. So, I haven't seen. They won't let it's basketball season right now, and so they won't let us go see them play. And so I've got pictures of me behind bushes watching soccer games. I turned into the Duck Dynasty guys. I'm painting my face and I'm getting behind bushes so I can watch, them play soccer. I feel like a criminal, but we're putting up with it. They're doing good. I mean, it's that's the hard part. The real estate side is well, I will say the real estate side got gnarly over the last 6 months. Across the country, everything went up. I got my philosophy on why that's the case, but that's what I've been doing right now.
Cool. Well, then talk about kind of go into it then. So you're in real estate. Had you always been in real estate, or how did you get into real estate?
No, I was frankly, I was in ministry. Like, what's funny is we have all three been in ministry here. This is a neat conversation. So, we can get into the business side of the church. We may not want to do that, but we can get into the business side of ministry and church and raising money and being broke and all that kind of stuff. But no, I was a youth pastor of a church with a really rough senior pastor situation, and decided to plant my own church. And once that somehow my senior pastor found out I was planting a church, he let me go. And so this is 2008. I was a broke youth pastor. Now I'm an unemployed broke youth pastor. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to plant a church. And at the time, I'm doing the same thing, raising money, talking to people, getting a team together, and just trying to cast vision at the same time pay bills. And so I remember the day I became a real estate investor. I've talked about it on other things, but it was November 1st, 2008. And I was planting a church. Oh, in 2008 also. So that was a year I got let go as a youth pastor because the senior pastor didn't want me raising money from the church to plant my own church. Didn't want me to quote, and this is like for anybody who's not in the church, the whole term stealing sheep or sheep stealing is a real threat to those in ministry. And so let me go in January of 2008. We find out we're pregnant a couple months later, find out a couple months later after that our baby is in really rough shape and is likely not going to make it. Meeting with doctors who are abortion doctors, people who perform abortion on a daily basis, asking, they don't use the word abortion when you're in that situation. They use the word terminate. So they continue to ask, do you want to terminate? Do you want to terminate? And we're like, no, we're not going to do that. And so it was in August. I was raising money. I was out at Liberty University. I went to Liberty University. Go Flames. We got up to 22.
You did.
I mean, we crapped the bed a little bit later, but we were up there. We were like, what is happening here? So
you guys have been in the news a lot lately, from positive and negative.
Well, yeah. hey, that's Liberty. That's Falwell. That's the whole bit. I mean, that's par for the course. So the negative side, the positive side on sports, we're like, yeah, let's do this. But I'm at Liberty University raising money, and I just got finished and for the church, and I just get finished with this meeting. Super great. They're giving us $1,000 a month, and like that's a good score for a guy trying to plant a church with nothing. And my wife has been on bed rest because of our baby and the complications with that. And she's at the hospital, had been there for 6 weeks, and they said, no, it'll be fine. You can go out and do whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. I get off there. I'm driving around. Any of my Liberty University friends, I am driving around the circle, okay, right in front of the Vine Center. It's now the they've done so much construction there, but I'm on the phone with her, and she goes, I think my water broke. And I go, what? So I'm 2,000 miles away. She gives birth to our baby who has some serious health problems. I'm trying to get my first flight out of Raleigh to get there. I don't even get there until the morning time, and she was on her deathbed a couple of times. The baby had been given. She had a lot of issues there, and so that's 2008 for me. Okay, I'm trying to raise money. The money doesn't kick in until 2009. I'm managing a Days Inn in the tech center here in Denver. I have no money. November 1st, 2008, I get paid. My wife tells me, hey, we're going to a wedding that night, and if she can get a dress from Target. It was a $50 dress. I looked in my bank account. We didn't have any money. And I told her, I said, we don't have any money. We can't do that. She was very gracious. Oh, I'll find something else. It's no big deal. Very nice. And keep in mind, she has just been in the hospital this whole time. We're dealing with a baby who is really struggling, right? And this is one of the first times she gets to get out and have a nice time with some friends and whatnot, and can't buy this dress. And I go in super nice. I just cry like a baby. I go into my office. I'm making, 30 grand a year trying to manage this 60-room hotel. And that was the day I became a real estate investor. I said, something's got to change. What people don't know about that story, this is why I'm talking to the pastors about this. Maybe I'll get some counseling I'm still dealing with. The very next day, our baby passed away. And so we had to bury her, and her name was Molly, and pay for the insurance and all that, because I couldn't pay any of it. And donors came in, and people paid for that. And I just remember November 1st, 2008 was the day I said, something's got to change. Now, if you remember what was happening in 2008, Lehman Brothers is going out of business. Stock market is crashing. There's blood in the streets. People are losing their jobs. It's very similar to what we're dealing with now. But at the time, the thought of like bailouts was not really a thing. They were talking about it. They're trying to get things going, and bailouts didn't really happen. So I didn't do my first deal. So I started getting educated. Learning, podcast, taking investors, RIA clubs, books, everything, consuming it like I was in seminary. And I didn't do my first deal until August of 2010. So that's how I got in. It was out of pure necessity. It was, and frankly, Chris, this is funny. I came into real estate thinking, boy, if I could just get an extra $2,000 a month, it would change the trajectory. It would make it so that all the stress kind of comes off and make it so much easier. All I was in it for was an extra $2,000. If I could get another $2,000 a month, dude, we're made in the shade.
So let me ask you this. I know where you're at today in the sense of not like everyday stuff, but I know kind of your, oh my goodness, my phone is going off like I'm
I thought there was a drill. I thought you were
trying to turn it off, and I started making an emergency call. I'm like, whoa, no emergency here.
I thought you were assembling some IKEA furniture or something.
So here's a question. All that's going on, right? And I'm in Seattle at that time, and we're in communication and praying with you guys, and it was just a rough time, that everything you guys were going through. So you're making this transition into real estate. What are other people saying to you when they, especially those people very close around you in context, and they know kind of a little bit your situation. They know your financial situation. They know you can't have any money because you're a fired youth minister who is, just trying to start a church, which means poor to poor. And so what are others saying to you, or what are they thinking about you making a decision to go into something that most people would say, you don't have any money. How are you going to get involved in real estate?
Man, that's a very great, insightful question. And if anybody is in that same scenario, listen to this answer, because I think it'll be very helpful. Okay. There's really a couple of parts to it. Number one, before I started listening to those people, I had to do what I call I pooled my assets. Okay. What do I have? And a lot of people, when they think about assets, they think about it being, what kind of cash, what kind of equity, what kind of credit, lines of credit, whatever it might be. Those are assets. But really what I'm talking about is, what is an asset? What is something that can help me get to where I want to go? What do I have, right? I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. Like when I first got started, I had less than $600 in the bank and less than a 600 credit score. Okay. Because at the end, credit score has more to do with, can you pay your bills? Well, if you can't pay your bills, your credit score goes through the roof. So, or if it's hard for you to pay your bills. So I said, well, what do I have? And what I had was time, because ministry is a nights and weekend type thing primarily. Yes, you've got some sermon prep during the day, and yes, you've got some planning, but like you're really working on Sunday is not a day off.
That's
like
your
everybody
Monday.
else has a
That's your
Sunday's,
Monday.
Yeah, Sunday's a work day, right, for a pastor. And in fact, sometimes it's a 12 or 14 hour work day for you. And so I had time. I had the ability to learn, right? I said, this is 2008. We're in the information age, right? And this is way before, YouTube kind of really took off and all these podcasts really took off. But we were still in the internet age when we could Google stuff and we could get information. And so I said, I've got time, I can learn, and I've got my big why. And that's probably the most important, was the why. Like when you wake up every single day and you look at your wife and your kids and you say, boy, it'd be really nice if we could go out to eat. That's not a ministry expense type situation. You know what I mean? Right. We're not using the church card to go to Chili's. Those are the kind of things where it's, those three things. I pulled my assets and I found out what I had. And then I also did something which was very important. I pulled my liabilities. What are my liabilities? Well, I don't have any money. I don't have any credit. So what did I have to do? I had to go find someone to partner with who my assets complemented their liabilities, and their assets complemented my liabilities. So the guy I got together with, Brian McLean, great dude. He texted me this morning about a deal, actually. But he was a software salesman, okay? So what did he have? He had money. At the time, I thought he was wealthy. I think he had like 25 grand in the bank. I thought, man, oh my gosh, this guy is loaded, right? But he had credit. He had the ability to take out a loan on a Burr method refinance type thing. And so his assets complemented my liabilities, and my assets, time, learning, hustle, the ability to manage, talk to people, whatever it might be. Because at the time, and even now, you get deals by being fast. Like you got to be fast to a deal.
I lost the deal yesterday because I wasn't fast on response. That was it.
That's
If
it.
I would have responded, it was mine because I personally knew him in Dallas.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was hung up on something else, and I was like, so you're correct.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. I just heard a interview from Hulk Hogan. Okay. And Hulk Hogan, there's a story of him passing on the George Foreman grill. Okay. And he goes, no, I didn't pass on the George Foreman grill. I missed the phone call. I was picking up my kids from school. I came back. There's a message on my phone. I called up. The guy says, hey, it's either between you or George. By the time that he comes and picks it up, George Foreman already said, yeah, let me do the grill. Simple. It could have been the Hulk Hogan grill, right? So he's stuck at work running sales calls, trying to sell software. I'm able to go chase down deals, and it was a beautiful partnership. We bought 50, 60 houses together using hard money or private money, buying it, fixing it up, renting it, refinancing, using the Burr method. And that was a great partnership. So I got real with myself. The second thing I would say, so I did my asset liability analysis. The second thing I would say is I just hustled. It's action. And action, money follows action. And so I just went after it. But I treated it like I was in seminary. I was reading books till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I treated it like, yep, I've got my full-time job, but I've also got this thing. Like I got two things going on. Yeah, I got a job, but I also, I still treat it that way. I was up till 2.
Well, and you have something that I think Chad and I would agree, and you have to be successful in ministry. And what I mean by successful in ministry is you stick with it, and that is your partner, your bride. And I know your bride, and so I can feel that situation. And she was willing to give high grace and high mercy during the time that you couldn't physically be present because you're trying to do the provisions of the job, but then also work towards a future that doesn't look like our current present. So without that,
there's no
not that a single person can't do it, but I'm just saying you in our stories. Had you not, with children and all that, had the bride that you had, it would have been very difficult.
Well, and you're making a great point, Chris. I've said it on other podcasts. I've said on my own. I've said it for years. If it weren't for Haley, my wife, we would not be anywhere where we're at. And so, frankly, God forbid we don't ever use this term in our house. If we ever divorced, if we split 50-50, I'd be getting a better deal. So. Because she's worth it. I mean, I told her yesterday, I said, none of this happens without her. I mean, she takes care of the house. She takes care of the kids. She supports me. She's a gigantic cheerleader. I've coached, and Chad, I know you do coaching and whatnot. I've coached guys where they've got a boat anchor for a wife, for a spouse or whatever. And man, that just makes it really difficult. So,
yeah,
I introduce us as my wife is the better half, and it's not even a debate. It's like I'm comfortable in my skin knowing she's a billion times better than me.
Yeah.
Chad?
Oh, I was gonna say I think your story is really inspiring, and in case anybody did miss, I think it's really important that a lot of people, when they want to get involved in real estate, they have a reason they can't, right? They say, I don't have enough time, or I don't have the right connections, or I don't have money, or whatever that I don't have is, right? And there's plenty of people who have those rationales. But when you talk to people who do very well in real estate, a lot of times they didn't have any of those things going for them, right? It wasn't a perfect situation to start. It was more a really difficult situation, but there was a defining moment where you said, I can't do anything else. I have to do something new and pursue this route. So I think for anybody listening, if you're struggling thinking I don't have the right connections, or I don't have the right credit score, I don't have fill in the blank, I don't have, consider that just a stepping stone, an obstacle to get over for your goals, because anybody who's going to be successful is going to have those obstacles. Maybe not day 1, but day 2, day 3. That's part of fighting for success. So I
No,
really
that's
appreciate your story. Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And what I found, Chad, is when I would almost tell people, pause and think about your why, right? If you've got a solid, it's the same thing with the diet. There's a reason I'm, husky. I wear the husky jeans. My why is not super motivating. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, I probably should. But like my why, when I looked at my wife and my kids and what I believe the Lord has called men to do, which is provide and protect for their families. That was a divine calling. That was a divine why. And that was we're going to get after this thing. So,
all right, I want to get into something real quick because I know something and I want the people to hear it. So, kind of dovetailing what you're talking about, I remember I'm in Foley, Alabama, which is where the outlets are for Gulf Shores, Alabama. And Mike Taylor, my mentor in ministry, I'm an intern. My wife gets to go with me. We leave OBU for a whole week in the fall semester to go with our youth workers. We'd take them from Oklahoma City down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, because our church owned a bus. And we would take our youth workers down there and stay in these beautiful condos, go shopping. But I'm a poor college intern making $88.92 a week, going to a private school. And I know that I love Jeremy. I know I can see that I want to marry her, and I can see that life. And I remember this, getting on that church bus after shopping, and I probably maybe had a $10 hat, but all these couples that have been married for multiple years, they go down there and they're buying polo and all this stuff. And I asked the firefighter, I said, Tom, I want to be married. How do you know, like, I don't have any money. So how can I get married to Jeremy? And a couple of other dads laughed too. And they all, again, they're all 45, kind of our age now. And they're looking at each other and they're going, oh, let him have it. Let him have it. He goes, hey bro, if you're going to wait till you have enough money to get married, you're not ever going to ask Jeremy to marry you. And if you're going to wait to have enough money to have kids, you ain't going to ever have kids. And he was a firefighter. And so what I learned quickly in ministry and the right people in my life is find a way. Just become resourceful. And some people go, well, I'm not resourceful. Look at your circles. Find a way. I got to do this. Find a way. And so in that vein, tell us about, I hope you'll talk about this deal, but that memorable first deal, because I remember you telling me and I still use it today.
Well, are you talking about the memorable first, my wholesale deal, or
the one where you locked your keys in your car?
Gotcha. Okay. So the very first deal, it came from, I had signed up for some kind of lead gen type thing, like a Z buyer type thing. And basically most of those are really for, realtors trying to get listings and whatnot. They market it that wholesale, that they send distressed houses, but sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I guess I shouldn't have knocked them because I did get a deal, but I meet this guy. He's a disabled veteran, served in Vietnam, and like he retired from the military. Colorado Springs is a big Air Force. The Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs, which is only about an hour away from Denver. And so this guy is a disabled veteran. He's getting his retirement from the military. He's also getting some Social Security because he's disabled, and he's got this one little rental property. His neck is fused, and so he can't move his neck at all. And I go down as a wholesaler, and I had bought some wholesale class about how to put it under contract and figure it out later and all that kind of stuff, and whether you don't have any money or doing what you can. And so I went down there and negotiated with this guy, looked at this house, put this property under contract. One of the few times I actually gave anybody earnest money. He wanted me to give him $100, so I went to the ATM, pulled out $100, which was close to the balance, right? It was like, I wonder if I've got that $100. You know what I mean? We'll see I'll put the card in, but we'll see if the money comes out. And so put this thing under contract, and for weeks I am trying to sell this thing. I'm putting it every place I can. I'm calling every wholesaler I know. I'm putting it I'm trying to sell this contract as much as I possibly can, and I keep showing it. It was occupied by a family, and I kept showing up. I was smart enough to get the tenant's phone number, be able to call them so I can show this house, right? About 6 or 8 times I've shown this thing, and I'm driving back and forth from Denver to Colorado Springs, an hour each way, burning up gas, trying to sell this deal. I'm getting fatigued, man. I'm like, I don't know if real estate is for me. I think wholesaling is, I don't know if I can wholesale. This is not working as the book is saying that it's supposed to be working here. So the last guy who wants to see this thing says, hey, can I bring my hard money lender with me? I said, sure. Turns out this guy is newer than even me, right? So he just convinced this hard money lender to come to the house to help see if he can get a loan because he wanted to do a fix and flip on it. They go through it, they run their numbers. By the way, this time the house is now vacant because I have the tenants have moved out because they are so tired of me showing this house. I keep bugging them during family dinner, right? And they have moved out. This disabled veteran is now relying on me to sell this house because now he's going to take that money and retire, and he's done. He gets enough. He pays off all his debt. He is finished. Well, this guy goes through and they do the numbers, and the hard money lender says, well, I'll give you this amount. And the new guy goes, well, I can't make up the difference, so I'm out. I said, okay. We all shake hands, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to tell this disabled veteran I can't do what I said that I'm going to do, which is a key wholesaling mistake. You need to be able to do what you say you're going to do. And if that means with private money or or a line or something, you need to have some credibility behind your words. I didn't at the time because I was listening to the wrong people. But this hard money lender walks out to his car and locks his keys in his car and calls his wife for his wife to come and bring a spare set. So we're all sitting out there. I'm like, I'm from Denver. I don't have anything else to do. I'll sit here and talk to this old guy about what he's doing. And we get talking, and he starts telling me about Section 8. He goes, hey, that house would be perfect for a Section 8 person. You know, that's a great deal for Section 8. And I said, well, yeah, I just don't know anybody who buys Section 8. He goes, well, I buy Section 8. The houses that I rent out Section 8. I said, well, do you want to buy it? He goes, well, it's his deal. I don't get involved in it. And the new guy goes, I can't do it. So it's whatever. So the guy goes, how much do you want to make? I go, dude, if I can get $1,000, I'd be tickled pink. He goes, okay, no problem. We closed it 3 days later. So if it weren't for Don Larrabee out of Colorado Springs, hard money lender down there, locking his keys in the car, it's likely I would have tried to figure out something else besides wholesaling. 340 something deals later, I'm still wholesaling. So if it weren't for him, I would have said, this is for the birds. So I didn't really make any money because I spent it all on gas going back and forth, but I got the deal done. So.
But you had proof and concept.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Regardless of how much you made, you were able to get something under contract. You were able to hustle. You didn't quit. And it's a crazy story that he locks his keys in his car. But at the end of the day, you came out positive. You did what you said you were going to do for the disabled vet, which is huge. Yeah. So now you have a little bit of street cred, and you've got already a hard money lender that says, hey, man, if you bring me any other deals like this, I'd be more than open to purchasing. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's a story of it's off to the running. So $1,000, when you think about the context of your story, is like, you know, the equivalent of $10,000, $15,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've wholesaled hundreds of deals since then. But one of the, you're mentioning something, the proof of concept. One of the things, and as I think back about this story, that really kind of helped was I got to see a settlement statement. Think about that. Like I got to actually look. Before that, I had bought, I don't even think I had bought a house yet. I mean, it was within, I had never even seen what a settlement statement looked like. And so when we're talking to new people, they go, what is a settlement statement? How do you read that thing? Debits on one side, credits on another side, buyer side, seller side. And like that made it so that, and I ask questions. I just ask as many questions as if I didn't understand. Listen, if you don't know something, ask, right? Like it's the fool who keeps his mouth shut, right? Keep asking those questions, because now me looking at the settlement statement, I can go, oh, well, I bought it for this, I sold it for this, I assigned it for this, I did this and this and this. That's why it's one of the things I put in my training. I don't know if you do. I actually show my settlement statements. Like, this is an assignment, this is a double close, this is a buy and hold, this is what this means, right? Because when you're brand new, you have no idea. Like, it's little things like that that keep people from wanting to move forward because they have no idea. So,
well, you say something really perfect, and it's ask questions. I remember after you and I kind of did a little bit, you said, hey, I really need to focus on Denver. I don't really know as much about Phoenix. You even said, hey, man, I'm sorry. I felt like I could just come down and duplicate, but I want to be honest with you. But because you were honest with me, it stuck with me. And then over the next 2 years, I kept asking you questions, and you weren't going to benefit from anything that I was asking you about, but I kept asking and I kept asking, and I would get something out of it. I would get some kind of knowledge or understanding, which would allow me to pivot or figure something out. And then later it led me to working with you guys again. So you're right. If you don't ask, it can be intimidating, because everybody, oh, they're throwing out BRRR, the burr, what's that? Just ask.
yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
you might think you're stupid, but nobody else does. You're a question asker.
And I didn't have enough. I mean, I didn't have enough pride. I mean, when you're broke, where else are you going to go? Like, what kind of? I think it probably also, for the seasoned guys, has the same effect. Like, the new person doesn't ask questions because they don't want to look stupid, but the seasoned guy doesn't ask questions because he doesn't want to. He thinks everybody thinks he should know better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I had a listing. Someone asked me about this term that they use. I don't even remember what the term was. Like ST. I really don't even know what the term meant. And so I'm sitting there with this realtor who has only done 4 deals in her entire life. And I asked her, I go, what does this mean? It was some acronym some buyer was asking about for us. And I go, what is this? And she goes, I don't know. Most people don't know as much as you think. I didn't know what it meant. He didn't know what it meant. So we asked the buyer, what do you mean by this? And turns out he was trying to be smarter than everybody else. I was like, that's not what you say. Like, that's dumb. I don't even remember the context of everything, but that's the gist of the story. But ask questions. It's okay to look stupid. That's the way I look at it.
Well,
you want to be wealthy or be stupid. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you are networking or when you are around other investors, I have never thought down on somebody for asking questions.
Yeah.
When somebody sits quiet and they don't really benefit from the group, then I kind of question why they came or what are they here for. But when somebody's asking questions and trying to figure things out, I mean, every group I've ever been a part of, that's respected, and you're glad they're asking.
And everybody around you is wanting probably that same answer, but they're too prideful to ask the question. So you're not just. I always tell myself, I'm not just helping me. I'm helping. Even the expert I'm asking is rethinking their answer. I'm telling him this answer. Do I really still believe in this? Because he's looking for the right answer. So I think it's a positive on both sides.
Well, questions endear yourself to people. Like, when you meet someone and we know this as pastors. This is why you guys are doing such a great job. You're asking me all these questions. I'm like, man, I love you guys. This is great. But you go to church. You ask, where are you from? What do you do? All that kind of stuff. It endears that person to you. And particularly when you're talking to a seasoned real estate investor who knows something you don't know, possibly, or even a new person. Like, when you ask those questions, it endears them to you. If someone asks me a question, I'd love to explain it to you. If I've got time, and I'm happy to help. Most people are like that. So
Well, and every deal, it's there, and the process is trying to find deals, trying to find resources for those deals, and then trying to better your systems, right? All of those, I'm still asking questions,
yeah.
right? And in that process of a seller, man, I don't talk except to ask questions. Because I'm trying to build rapport. I'm trying to become friends with you, because last time I checked, most people don't do business with people if they really don't like the person or have some kind of hesitation. And everybody likes to talk. So just ask questions.
Well, that's that Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. God gave you 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. And so ask more questions, listen. I mean, the script I taught you, the script I've taught, all these people, more than 2/3 of it is just questions, except for that intro and except for that upfront contract and except for the last post close. Everything else is just questions.
So you do that deal. What then transpires from that to today? What you obviously have done tons of wholesaling, but that's not all you do. How has that changed over time?
Wholesaling is a great, let's put it this way. Wholesale is a skill. And if you can develop that skill, you can make money in any market, at any time, anyway. It's just a skill. If you can talk to someone about their distressed house and then put that under contract, double close it if you have to, or even fund it or whatever, and then sell it and make some money in between, you can make money whenever. So wholesaling is a great skill, and I think it's a good foundational skill for a lot of people, not for everybody, because now we are about to. So right now, most of the wholesaling is direct to seller, right? Where we've got to get to that seller and negotiate and do that kind of thing. Put it under contract. There will be a time, just like it was in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, where direct to seller is going to be more difficult. Why? Because nobody has any equity. Instead, we're going to have to learn some people are going to have to learn how to wholesale REOs, short sales, HUDs, that kind of stuff. They're going to have to learn how to get deals using the system. Okay. But if you've got those things, you can make money at any time. And still there's, during that time, like we were talking off of this, was, getting direct to sellers for creative finance type deals and owner finance type things, owner carryback type stuff. But I think that's an excellent skill and a foundational skill. However, eventually, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's hard work. To wholesale a deal it's simple, but it's not easy. And what is easier, in my opinion, is just holding real estate. You let the market come to you, right? Like when I was buying in 2012 and 13, 14, 15 here in Denver, I'm buying houses for, my first rental was, I paid $77,000 for it, put 10 grand into it. Brian, my partner, still owns it. And when he bought me out of it in 2015, it was worth $250,000. Today, it's worth $350,000. So that house, all he has done is collect rent on it. Send a maintenance guy every once in a while, and make his note payment.
So here's a good one. We were talking about asking questions. We've thrown out the word a few times, creative financing. If someone's listening to this the first time, and what Chad is creating here is an inspirational, educational landing for people to learn, they might say, what does he mean? I used to hear creative financing. I'm like, that must mean the bankers. That must mean they've figured out a way to do interest rate. I'm a pastor who knows nothing. Creative finance means there's somebody smart that kind of says, here's how we can do it. When in reality, we know what is, Brad, creative financing.
Yeah. Well, number one, I haven't gone to a bank to do a rental property in 6 or 7 years, 5 or 6 years. What creative financing is in essence is dealing with people related to either their ability to give you to lend private money out of their IRA, 401k, cash, whatever, or it's taking over someone's situation creatively using lease with an option, subject to financing, installment land contracts, contract for deeds, wraps, and all of those things are essentially just saying, hey, you've already secured the financing. All I'm doing, the sub twos and lease option, all I'm doing is coming behind you and taking over your responsibility. That's all. That's at the end of the day, I'm now becoming responsible for what you did. Now I'm not becoming legally responsible. I'm just making your payments for you. And doing so, frankly, the next wealth, in my opinion, the next transfer of wealth is going to happen over the next 7 to 8 years, 6 to 8 years, if we see what everyone seems to think that we're going to see is some kind of recession, pullback, depression, distressed housing. And if you can figure out the creative finance side, lease option, installment land, and there are great guys out there. Wendy Patton has a book called Subject to and Lease Option. Read it, devour it, right? Joe McCall out of St. Louis, great with his wholesaling lease options. Here in Colorado, a guy named Michael Jake has a Subject to course that is second to none. Well, second to mine, but is great. Those are great. People teaching you how to think outside the box. It's not about banks. It's about solving problems. Because there will be a lot of people in the next several years who have a 2.5% 30-year fixed rate loan on their primary house that is now $100,000 underwater because the government allowed them to put 3.5% down on an FHA loan, who can't make that $1,500 payment or whatever it's going to be here in Denver, and are underwater, stuck, can't do anything about it. It'll be in Denver, it'll be in Phoenix, it'll be in Vegas, it'll be all over, and stuck. They're going to foreclosure. They can't make those payments. And if you can come up and say, hey, let me make those back payments for you, cure that loan, let me start making the payments at the bank because I'm going to have you move out and I'm going to rent it to someone who can afford this. You're just solving problems. And so that's how we did it in 2012. I picked up probably 50, 60 sub twos in 2012, 12 and 13. And those turned out very, very well. Very well.
Cool.
Sure.
Chad,
So
you got
is
anything?
there, for people who are interested in that, is there a way that you marketed to get in front of those sellers in that situation so that you knew they had that pain point and you could help solve it?
So you have to be careful with your marketing to people in distressed situations, particularly if they've already in the pre-foreclosure phase. There are marketing rules that you got to follow. Yeah, I'll tell you the ninja secret. Are you ready? One of them. We used to just do straight up Post-its. Okay. Pull a list. NEDs. So in Colorado, NED means a notice of election demand. They are now in the process of foreclosure, which means that they have paid. They've not paid for several months, and the bank has started the foreclosure process. Now they've got 120 days before it actually minimum 120 days before it goes to auction. But we used to go with these little Post-its. I would hire someone, give him an address, and he would literally handwrite with blue ink, hey, please give me a call, Brad, and my phone number. That's it. Nothing about the house, because you can't, because if you can have problems if you target about their financial issue. So you got to be careful with whatever state you're in from a marketing perspective. You could be targeting. You could get yourself into some trouble. But when you're very vague like that, who's not going to call a Post-it note that says, "Hey, give me a call when you can, Brad."
It's awesome.
It's either
Handwritten,
that or going to freak
personal.
me out.
Personal, handwritten,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with whatever. And someone's going to walk up to their door and say, "Who the heck is this?" Right?
Yeah.
And then you get in your sales script. So that was one way. The other way was just as general marketing for their house, right? What you don't want to do is say, "Hey, I know that you're about to lose your house, and hey, I know you're behind on this," because that's gonna have some you're gonna have some marketing legal issues that way. But that's one ninja way. The other way, the door knocking situation. So that was the lazy way. And I know that sounds lazy, but I hire someone and I give them a list of 100 people going through the NEDs. I tell them, I'm going to give you, $300, $3 a thing. All you got to do is post it on there, take a picture, and get out of there. So I know that he posted it, right? The other way was just straight up door knocking. Like I have always said the guys who door knock can kick my butt all day long, because I'm not going to. I care more about marketing systems and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get out there and door knock. But I tell you what, you knock on someone's door, just like a guy named Bill Cook. He's an educator out of Georgia. You knock on someone's door and you get away from the door so that there's no, intimidation, right? What's more intimidating, me being back here talking or me being right up in your face, right? Like that gets a little freaky, right? So you knock on the door, you step back, you say, "Hey, my name is Bill. I'm really, I'm looking to buy houses in this neighborhood. Do you know anybody looking to sell?" Now, you don't talk about their financial situation, right? Let them bring that up.
Yep.
But if you know the list, boom, that's an easy way. That's low hanging fruit right there. And there will be a day when that is much more. It's still prominent now if you're willing to put the work in, but there'll be a day where on a block you'll have 30% of them in trouble.
Right. So you've been in a lot of deals, Brad. Do you kind of have like a target deal that you prefer, like kind of, I don't know, your bread and butter that you prefer these days?
Bro, you're asking that question because I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot brick ranch in a B neighborhood in the middle of the block, with a basement if I can get it, and a 2-car garage. That's what I'm looking for.
Right. And then what would be the numbers though that would make you intrigued to want to get that house?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked that question because I just did a gigantic analysis. Okay. When people are analyzing deals, they look at, rental property. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll say, "Hey, take 30% off the rent. That's going to be your rent cost. That's going to account for taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, vacancy." Okay. And then that 70%, that's where you can pay your private lender, principal and interest. And then the rest is your cash flow. That's the wrong way to look at it. 30% coming off of rent for your rent costs is the absolute wrong way to look at it. Here's why. Okay. When you rent a property, okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys a question. How much roughly do you think it costs to paint a 1,500 square foot house? What do you think it costs to paint that? Roughly. You're not going to get the answer wrong, I promise you.
$1.50 to $2 a square foot, something like that.
$1.50, $2 a square foot. So 2,500, $3,000, something around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on what city I'm in.
So $2,000-$3,000. Let me ask you a question. Does it change if that house rents for $700 a month?
No.
No. A 1,500 square foot house, right? How about if it rents for $2,000 a month?
Same.
No, it doesn't change.
It's the same cost because it's the size of the house, right? Same thing with a furnace, same thing with an air conditioner, same thing with flooring, same thing with all of these things. So when you try to take the percentage off of the rent, taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, and vacancy, you're using the wrong percentage, because if you take 30% off a $700 rent or 30% off a $1,000 rent, right, the maintenance is going to not fit into that percentage. Frankly, when we think about taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, and vacancy, all 5 of those, there's only one number in there that is dependent upon what the rent is. It's not taxes. Taxes, they don't care what the rent is for taxes. It's not insurance. Insurance is based on the value of the house. Management might be, and I'm going to get to that in a second. It's not maintenance, because we just said, hey, it's going to cost X amount regardless of whether it rents for $700 or $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever. And it's not vacancy, because vacancy has more to do with the utilities and mowing the grass and handling all that stuff. Management is the only thing that goes off of the percentage of the rent. Right. However, even that is not right. Why? Because most property managers are going to charge you a lease-up fee, an admin fee, a re-up fee. And so they get you into the door. I've owned a property management company. They get you into the door with the 8%, 10%, 12%. Oh, we only charge 8%. Oh, that's nice. But you also charge half a month's rent when you lease them up. And then when you keep them in for another year, they charge you another $250. So I'm a proponent of self-managing. But the answer to your question, Chris, comes down to, wait a second, what am I going for from a numbers perspective? I did a gigantic analysis over the past 6 years of how much maintenance I put into all of my rental properties. I've got 58 houses now in just Memphis. But I did it over the course of here in Colorado, here in Tennessee, the houses I've done in San Antonio, the houses I've done in other markets. And I went and I looked at how much does it cost me on average across my portfolio just for maintenance, not for when I buy it and rehab it and get it nice for the tenant, but when they get in there, how much does it cost me? And I gave you, and the answer, are you ready for it? I know you're on the edge of your seats. This is some real data that can really help you. It costs me, regardless of the market, regardless of, using primarily my kind of house, a 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick ranch with a basement and 2-car garage. Anyway, it cost me in maintenance on average $83 per property per month over the course of 6 years. $83 per month, regardless of what it rents for, regardless of whether it's in Tennessee or in Colorado. Because here's what I have found. A painter paints, just like Chad said, it's $1.50, $2 a square foot, whether it's in Tennessee or in San Antonio or in Denver. The kind of guys we're going to get. We're not talking about the guys with wrap trucks and khaki pants and polo shirts. We don't hire those guys anyway, right? We're hiring the guys that are doing the work, and it's my wallet to his wallet, and so that's what it costs, is $83. So for your purposes of analyzing it, you want to round it up to $100 a month. So for your question, in Tennessee, I'm looking for something that will rent for over $1,000 a month. I stopped buying a lot of the houses that were renting for the $700, $800 a month. Okay. And the reason was because of that analysis. Yep, it's true. I'm not going to be replacing furnaces every month. But what I can tell you is if I hold this thing over a period of time, it's going to cost me $83 per property per month. Now, 1 month that might be really small, but the next month I got 4 furnaces I got to change out, right? And so that's the analysis.
Okay.
Wasn't that good? Come on, that was some good stuff right there. Yeah. Good stuff. I was hoping to get an amen out of that, but hey, I guess we're not with my AD brothers right now. So
you do bring up a very good point. People that I have found, and I think it's true, that the people that know their numbers are the people that are going to be successful.
Yeah.
The people that are constantly studying their numbers are going to be the people that are successful, because you would say, oh, I've accrued this $5 a month thing that, yeah, but if you extrapolate that over a year and then over this many property, that $5 was huge if you know your numbers, and so analyzing and knowing your numbers, dialing in your systems has led you to, hey, I don't buy houses anymore in Memphis that rent for $700-800 that for years I would have turnkeyed and sold to somebody, or you yourself would have bought.
That's right.
Now, over some new analysis over 6 years worth of investing, here's why I changed a little bit, and I don't do that anymore.
Well, and it's one of the things I've just gotten tired of it. People keep talking about I hate percentages. I think percentages don't need to be in real estate. Like, that's fine for stock and whatnot, but I'm going to get a t-shirt at one point, because it's dollars over percentage. And here's what I mean by that. When you first get started, you're going to have some guru, some person say, hey, a deal is 30% minus repair, right? And you're going to try to get that deal at 30% minus repair. And I will tell you, anyone listening, if you are able to get a house in certain markets across the country for 30 cents minus repair, you call me first, okay? Because that's a steep deal. That's a hard deal to get, right? It's the same thing with the buy and hold analysis that I just gave you. It's the same thing with cap rate, right? Like, I looked at Roofstock yesterday, and they're talking about this house. Oh, there's this house at 8.43% cap rate, okay? We all know that cap rate is a guess, right? Because we're coming out of taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, and vacancy. All of those are guesses. In fact, we're guessing at the rent, aren't we? All of the numbers that we're guessing, that we're trying to add into these things to come up with this percentage. Oh, I'll do this 10% deal, but I won't do this 9.7% deal, right? Well, that 3% is a rounding error. Frankly, a couple of percents are a rounding error. What you ought to look at is how much money are you putting in your pocket? Who cares about the percentage? I have bought houses where on Excel, I'm getting a 30% return. 30%. Oh my gosh. Cash, net. I mean, we're talking cap rate, a 30% cap rate. Do you know how much money I was sticking in my pocket? $40 a month.
Yeah.
The percentages don't mean anything, right? And so that's my problem with the percentage side. Think about cash over percentage.
Yeah.
I think that's sharp.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've done all of this. You've obviously bought and sold, you've wholesaled, you've done creative financing. Talk real quick about some struggles that you've kind of overcome along this way, from making $1,000 on your first deal to doing a major analysis on 58 properties to learn that you're paying $83 regardless per month per property. What are some struggles that you've overcome on this journey?
I think it's more business struggles than real estate struggles. Of course, I've fix and flipped houses where you make, like they say on the advertisement that you see, where you make 50, 70, 80. The highest deal that Brian and I ever did, we made $193,000 on one deal. Of course, those happen. Okay. I've also lost money on deals. If you do enough fix and flips, you're gonna lose money. I met one guy who said, "Oh, I've never lost money on fix and flip deals." I said, "Well, how many have you done?" "I've been doing it for 15 years and I've flipped 20 houses." I'm like, 20 houses is a good quarter for us, right? So, but the problem I have had, and I don't know if you guys get it, when I've tried to turn my real estate investing into business. And let me explain by that. You can do real estate as a solopreneur. It can be you, a laptop, and a cell phone. And you can have a wonderful, wonderful life making, for years, I was doing 50 to 60 deals a year just with me and a laptop, okay? Buying, selling, holding, renting, rehabbing. I wound up getting a part-time bookkeeper to kind of help me with the numbers, because I wasn't able, this is when I was using more banks to do refinance. I wasn't able to get them the financial reports that I needed in time. I mean, it was taking me forever to get accurate stuff because I didn't want to be fraudulent. I want to be accurate. But once I started trying to scale my business, okay, that's where I ran into a lot of problems. When you underestimate, it's an income and expense level.
Yep.
Okay, it's expenses and income. And what happens is when you go from solo to business, where now you have employees and you have, like I'm in my office right now. When you go from just you being a solopreneur to being a business owner, you underestimate. You're like, yeah, hey, we had our income going this way, but you underestimate what your income is going to do when you bring on employees and have to train them and have to create the systems to train them and all that kind of stuff. And what will happen if you're not careful is your expenses will go higher than your income. And you've got to make sure, because a lot of people think, and I just disagree with this. I know business buddies that will say I'm absolutely dead wrong, but I think your income needs to determine your payroll. Okay, like what's your income doing to get your payroll? People will hire people thinking that person will help give them more money, will help go and earn them more income. And it's not the case. Rather, what you should do is get your, and if particularly if you're wholesaling or fixing whatever in the real estate world, get your systems and your income to a point where you're burning it at both ends. You can't keep up with the demand. You've got so many deals that you can't do. Then go hire someone, because you've made enough margin to afford what it's going to cost to hire new people.
Yeah.
My biggest challenges have been in hiring people too soon when my income couldn't afford them. And now I'm just like, what the heck am I doing?
Gotcha.
That's been my biggest problem.
So there, we got to shut it down now, but obviously we need to schedule you and come back because there's a ton more information that you could provide. How, real quick, I'll turn it over to Chad here in a second, but if people wanted to just find you, learn a little bit more about you, where would they go to find you?
The best place to go is to my website, reischool.com. And that's where I've got all my courses out there. You can get free access to everything, every course, every contract, everything. Okay. So REI School, you can hear my story. You can hear more of that kind of stuff. That's the best place to get more information like you're mentioning.
Okay. Hey, Brad, it's been a real privilege for me because we go way back, but I'm actually, even when you were telling the story about your wife and pregnancy and how that was, and I think about, just quickly, my mind went to you and Chad have some similarities in even going through those types of things in different types of ways, but huge amounts of pressure with your brides going through those while doing ministry. So I hope you guys offline get to connect more as well. Check out Brad. I'm so grateful that you were coming on. So grateful to reconnect visually and actually see your face. So appreciate it. All right, Chad.
Yeah, well, definitely appreciate having you on, Brad, and all the information you shared. A lot of great actionable tips and good insights for people, and really appreciate your story. So look forward to getting to know you better and talking again, definitely.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And Chris, we're baseball guys. I remember one of the times going to Memphis together, buying deals, sitting in an August AAA baseball team.
That's right.
Both of us just sweating and loving it. So this has been a much more pleasant experience than now. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Brad. Enjoyed it, and everybody have a good rest of the day.
You guys as well.
Thanks, guys.